Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to part 2 of every book that I've ever rated 5 stars. This is gonna be like an ongoing series because as I said in my last video, well, part 1, if you haven't watched part 1, go ahead and watch that before this one. I'm basically going to share with you guys the books that I've rated 5 stars and like 10 at a time. So last video I talked about 10 books. Today I'm gonna talk about 10 books as well, and also like some book series. So yeah, make sure to subscribe down below and turn on the notification bell so you get notified when I upload more videos and you don't miss the other parts. So yeah, let's get started because I have quite a few books to share with you guys today. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing that I did for part 1, which is basically I'm gonna show you the books that I've read, but in the order that I've read them, if that makes any sense. So let's start with Colleen Hoover because I did not finish my ratings in the last video. Okay, I have 2 books here. The first one is Verity. So Verity is one of the most different books by Colleen Hoover because Colleen Hoover mostly writes romance, and this is one of her books that's more of like a kind of like a book with mystery slash suspense slash a little bit of romance slash very creepy vibes. It's just overall really creepy, but the story was so freaking good. Like, I was so scared to read this book and I was like intimidated by it, but I read it and oh my gosh, like the book was so intriguing. Like, you're so intrigued the entire book, and it's just like becomes so much better by the end because of the plot twist, and it is so freaking good. So if you have read this book, please tell me which team you are. But yeah, this book is basically that kind of book where there can be different endings depending on what you believe in. You know, like there's no one specific ending. So that is what it's so like mind-blowing about this book. But it was so good, so entertaining. But again, it's creepy. So be aware, look at the trigger warnings for this book, but it is so good. And the other one by Colleen Hoover is a YA romance book, and it's Regretting You. I read this book and honestly, I really thought that I was not gonna like this book as much as I did. Like, I started reading and the first thing that I loved is the writing style. 2 different POVs, but you would believe that it would be like the main female character and then the main male character, but this book is more of like a mother and daughter relationship, like bond kind of thing. So we have the POV of the mother and then the POV of the daughter. And what I liked about this book is that both POVs have different romance stories. So you get the romance story of the mother and then the romance story of the daughter. It's really cute, and the ending got me crying. Like, it was just so freaking cute and it was beautiful. Like, I loved this book so much, and I think it's honestly really underrated. Like, I loved it. I loved the ending. It was so cute. Okay, this next book, you guys, if you haven't heard the news, this is The Spanish Love Deception, and it's becoming a film, like a movie. Is it just me, or are literally all the books becoming movies this year? Like, out of nowhere. I'm just so amazed. And also, I need to mention this, it has nothing to do with this book, but you guys, if you haven't watched the TV show for The Summer I Turned Pretty, go do that. Go do that. It's just so good. It's so good. I watched it last night and it's so good, you guys. I can't even explain. I am in love. But yeah, like when I heard that this book was becoming a movie, I honestly really liked this book, and it's not for everyone because it is such a slow burn and it's kind of a chunky book. So you need to wait for it. Like, wait for it. It did annoy me at first, and I was like, what is happening? Like, when is this gonna happen, you know? But honestly, at the end, it was kind of worth it because it all ties together and it is good. It has the kind of like the grumpy sunshine trope. It has the one bed trope. So yeah, this was another one that I rated 5 stars, and I'm so excited for the movie. Then we have a fantasy series that I read back to back, or no, I don't remember if I read it at the same time, whatever. But it's this series. It's The Daughter of the Pirate King and The Daughter of the Siren Queen. This is the first book, Pirate King, and then this is the second book, Siren Queen. So Honestly, this is one of my favorite fantasy book series. It's just so fun. It was so fun. It talks a lot about like pirates and sirens and all that stuff. It's about this girl who is the daughter of the pirate king, and like everyone knows her. She's a badass, but she's had like a really rough childhood. Because of her father, the pirate king. She has like her own ship with her own crew. It's just, those are the vibes. If you like the Pirates of the Caribbean, you're probably gonna like this book. And honestly, what I loved even more is that it talks a lot about like sirens as well. So honestly, it's just a really fun series. And I rated both 5 stars, but my favorite one from the series is the second one. Okay, next up is a book that I had like never read this book in my entire life. It's basically a classic at this point. I watched the movies so many times when I was a kid. This is Twilight. So I picked this book up because obviously like I needed to read the book. I had never read the books and I had watched the movies and I wanted to like compare them. And honestly, the books, well, I've only read this one, but I just already can tell that the books are so much better than the movies. We all know that the movies are not the best. They're not tragic, but they're not the best. And honestly, when I compared the movies with the book, I was like the book is so much better. Like the book is so much better. It's also really chunky, but it was good. It was entertaining, and they did change some of the things for the movie. It always happens, but honestly, loved everything about the book. So definitely if you haven't read the Twilight series like I did, you should give it a try. Honestly, I think it's very good. Okay, next up is a book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this is Daisy Jones and the Six, which is another one that is becoming a TV show that I believe they like wrapped up filming a couple of days ago. Like they finished filming the entire series, but I don't know when it's coming out. Like I have no idea when it's coming out. So I just know that it's probably gonna be so amazing and so cool. And the actors in that TV show. So what I liked about this book is first the writing style is so different. It's so interesting. It's kind of like an interview writing style. Like basically it's like a journalist asking different people questions and like different people telling their stories. So like each page you get phrases of the interviews, and that is how the story is told. It is so different. It's so interesting because you like never get bored of it because there are so many different people telling their stories. But yeah, it's really interesting. And this one is about Daisy Jones, which was this like it girl in the 70s. She grew up in LA, but in like the party scene. So she went to parties at like 15, 14, all that stuff. And then it hops to the Six. So the Six is actually a band. And you get the backstory of Daisy Jones, and then separately you get the backstory of the Six, the entire band of the 6 people. And I think it was like at half of the book, like in the half of the book that they come together. So Daisy Jones and the 6 meet, they come together, and then the story starts. So it's a whole thing, but it's a really, really good book. Do look up trigger warnings. It talks a lot about hard drugs, addiction. It's basically the main topic. Okay, next up, I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite series of all time, which you guys know about this series. I've talked about this series so much, and I was debating sharing, talking about the series in this video because it's not completed yet, so it's not a complete series yet. The last book is coming out literally in a couple of days. I'm freaking out, but it's the Twisted series by Anna Huang, and I've read the first 3 books. Well, I have the first 3 books that are published. So the first book is Twisted Love. This was obviously the first book that I read. I do recommend reading the books in order. So the first one is Twisted Love, then comes Twisted Games, and then comes Twisted Hate, and lastly, the book that's coming out is Twisted Lies. So Again, the first one that I read was Twisted Love. It was honestly a really good book. I rated 5 stars right off the bat, but the one thing is that I would have liked the book to have a little bit more romance from the main couple, main 2 characters, because there were a lot of plot twists, which I didn't mind. But again, I would have wanted like half and half, you know? But yeah, it was a really good book, and I love the main characters as well. It's Grumpy Sunshine, brother's best friend. You have it all. Okay, then comes the second book, which is Twisted Games. I also rated this book 5 stars. I rated each one 5 stars, but this one was so good. This one was so good. Okay, this is a bodyguard romance. It's about a princess, literal princess from another country, and she basically falls in love with her bodyguard. But it's a whole story, obviously. It's such a slow burn. Forced proximity, again, bodyguard romance, and like a royal theme kind of thing, Princess Diaries kind of thing, but it's so good. Definitely 5 stars right off the bat. And the third one, which I read this year, was Twisted Hate. This is very chunky, but this is a enemies to lovers, really enemies to lovers, you guys. Like, enemies to lovers. And I would say a little bit bully romance as well, but I think this is my favorite book from the entire series so far. It was just so good. I devoured this book in like 2 days. And I do want to say the entire series is a spicy series. Each one has quite a few spicy scenes, so if you don't like that, I would not recommend you reading these books, but if you do, go ahead. One of my favorite series ever. I cannot wait for the last book to complete this series. I'm gonna cry, but yeah, each one was a 5-star read. Okay, and the last 2 books that I'm gonna talk about, because I've been considering like the series as one book, so I can talk about more books. So we have 2 books left. Okay, we have first It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, and this is a spicy book. This is a third-person narrative kind of thing, writing style, a small-town romance, and Grumpy Sunshine as well. Yeah, it's basically that, but it's a small-town romance. I loved this book so much. I obviously would have enjoyed it a little bit more if it would have been like first person, because I'm not a really big fan of third-person narratives, but it's fine, it's okay. But this book was so cute, so good. I was so entertained. These spicy scenes are incredible. The story is honestly really good, and it was a 5-star read. So this is a duology as well. So this is the first book. The second book is Hook, Line, and Sinker, which I'm going to talk about in probably the next video or the one after that. But this one I read last year, and it was amazing. I loved it so much. I really recommend this book. It's just so good. Almost all the books that I've read by Tessa Bailey, well no, like literally all the books that I've read by Tessa Bailey, I've loved. Okay, and last book that I'm going to talk about in this video is a book that I was so surprised that I loved. So this is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. So this is a book of the month pick for last year, for October for last year, because it's kind of like that Halloween setting, you know what I mean? First, it's not that chunky, like it's not that long, so that was perfect. And like the entire cover got me reading it. So this book talks about like witches and all that stuff. Like it has that fantasy part. It has a lot of adventure, which I loved, and it has romance, which I did not see coming, and the romance was just really cute overall. Yeah, like the story was so interesting. I read this book in a day. Like, I don't know why people don't talk about this book, because I loved it so much. So yeah, that is the last book that I'm going to talk about in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed part 2. Thank you so much for watching part 1. I was so surprised, but I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. But yeah, stay tuned. If you want more videos, remember to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you get notified when I upload part 3. I love you guys so much. I will see you in my next video. Bye!
No corks and bottles ready to pop out. Oh, no more crying. We are knocking out another year of new loves.